Hi, Nancy here, and today I want to show you how to do the Italian tubular bind off. This brioche swatch has both the Italian bind off as well as the cast on. It has a nice rolled edge and superior to probably anything you could use for this kind of stitch. So I'm going to show you how it's done. Okay, this swatch I have, you first of all need to be aware that you're going to need probably 4 times the length of the stitches you need to cast off in order to have enough yarn to do so. Okay, the other thing you need to remember is that it is a sewn bind off like Kishner, and by telling you that, I'm saying one thing: keep it loose. You can always tighten it up later. The other thing is that you want to make sure you end on a right side row. If you recall, when you do the cast on, the light color is above, and that is the right side. It just is that way. So as you can see, the right side is facing us, and what makes it the right side is the column of knit stitches is pink versus the dark green, which is on the wrong side. You know you're starting a right side because both ends are hanging onto the right side of your work. Okay, you don't want to start this on a wrong side row. It won't come out correctly. Okay, so let's start. The first stitch, you're going to go in as if to purl. And again, remember that you want to keep this loose. Okay, the next stitch, you're going to go in between the first and second stitch. And I'm going to show you this a couple of ways, but you want to hook the front leg of that stitch and come through to the back. I'll show you another way to do it too. So if you didn't get that, we have plenty of opportunities to get this. Okay, now that you've done that, you're going to knit off the first stitch. Okay. Oops, don't want to take the second one off, just the first one. Okay. Now, you're going to go into the second stitch as if to purl. When you're dealing with brioche, the yarn over that's with that stitch is part of that stitch, so they are always included together. So you're going to go in as if to purl and go through both. Okay. Now you're going to take the first stitch, you're going to go through the back, and you're going to slip it off the needle. This looks like a total mess right now, but you're just going to have to trust me that it's going to look good in a little bit here. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you another way to enter this stitch. We're going to go in between the first and second stitch, but instead of hooking it with the bend in this needle, I'm just going to come in between the two of them and bring it forward. Okay? Then I'm going to slip it off, or I'm not going to slip it off. I'm going to enter it as if to knit from the front to the back. I think that probably gives you a better idea of what I'm actually doing with it. Now the first stitch we're going to knit off. Okay? All right. Now we're going to go into the second stitch that's now into the needle, which is a knit column with its companion yarn over. We're going to go into that as if to purl. Okay. Now we're going to go through the back of this stitch, the first one, and we're going to slip it off the needle. Okay. Now we're going to go in between what is now the first and second stitch, and I'm going to hook it like I had shown you the first time. I'm going to come in and then just grab that leg. You see that? In and hook that leg. Actually, I'm going to bring this up a little closer to the camera. In and hook that leg and come through. And if you never get really good at that, no worries. Just do it the other way I showed you. It's no biggie. Okay. So now we're going to knit off the first stitch. Okay. I'm going to stop here just 1 minute to see what's starting to happen here. Okay, pretty cool, huh? There's the column, just like I promised. Okay, now we're going to go into purlwise into the knit column and its companion yarn over. I know I keep saying that, but I want to make sure you remember that. Okay. Then we're going to go through the back of the stitch that's closest to the edge, and we're going to go through the back and slip it off. Okay. Now we're going to go in between, and this is the other way I show you, where you're just going to bring it in between the two stitches. And you can do it this way forever. You don't have to get fancy. And then you're going to go in as if to knit from the front to the back. Then you're going to knit off the knit stitch. Okay. Now we're going to go into the front of the knit column. Okay. Then we're going to go through the back of that stitch that's closest to the end. Okay. Now we're going to go in between, which is now the first and second stitch. And then we're going to go from the front to the back as if to knit. Okay. And then we're going to knit off. Okay. I guess put that stitch. Oh, well. Oh, I did. Darn it. All right. Well, we're not going to tell anybody, okay? That's going to be our little secret. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go into the front of the last stitch, which does not have a companion yarn over. It's just a regular old-fashioned knit stitch. Okay. Then we're going to go through the back of the stitch, which I must confess I split. If this was something important, I would take it out and fix it, but we're just going to pretend. Okay. And then we're going to knit off the last stitch. Okay. All right. Here's what we got. Obviously, we need to tighten this up just a tad. And when you tighten it, you want to start at the right and go to the left. I've done that so many times where I start at the other side and I've got this big wad of yarn with no place to pull it through. So you're going to want to fiddle, okay? And that's what I call it, just fiddling with the stitches till they look like the rest of your knitting. It is a lot easier to tighten than it is to loosen. Okay, just like Kirschner graph. It's a lot easier, okay? And I'm not going to go nuts with this and keep you online here watching this, but you're going to get the general idea. Okay, well that didn't turn out very good, but we'll give it a better shot, okay? But not great, but you get the idea. So you fiddle with the stitches, but this is how you go about doing an Italian bind off. Practice it before you do it on something real. Not hard, just needs a little practice, and just remember, don't do it too tightly. That's how you do the Italian bind off. Thank you.